Hello everyone, my name is Reed and welcome to Storytime. Today we are going to be reading some malicious compliance, so sit back, relax, and enjoy. Want your bonus? You need to meet your stats. Obligatory this was 12 years ago. Buckle up, it's a long one. It was the winter of 2008 and I started working at an IT help desk in the UK. The pay was shocking. £6.50 an hour on day shift and £7.49 if your shift went past midnight. Since I was single, I needed to work nights to be able to pay my rent. The job was bottom of the ladder, but after spending 6 months looking for a job in IT and discovering I was hugely overqualified for entry level, I had started dumbing down my CV so companies stopped worrying I'd leave as soon as I got some experience to jump ship. I was just happy to have a job doing something I enjoyed, working with huge clients and gaining practical experience to complement my personal learning. Because I worked nights, the number of inbound calls was about a sixth of the day, so there were less techs on shift, and even then we spent a lot of the night going through logged calls that the day shift either couldn't finish or didn't have time to deal with. It became apparent that my line manager that I was above and beyond the regular first line techs and 90% of the senior techs in both knowledge and aptitude, so I started being the only one doing callbacks. I didn't mind. Most of the time I would remote fix the issue based on the notes from the call log, then simply ring them and tell them to confirm. Sometimes they tell me other issues, so I'd fix those as well. I quickly noticed trends in areas of a specific client and started scripting automatic fixes I could call using a series of batch files to move data around, re-image computers remotely, and edit files anywhere in the UK. I told my line manager about these and she told me to keep them very quiet because I was technically breaking rules by doing this as I wasn't a third line tech, but she'd overlook it as long as I could test them in our local lab and she could see them working prior to a live usage. Now to bring in the bonus system. The system was tracked on some stats. As long as you were within thresholds of those, you'd get a monthly bonus of £250. To me, on nights, that was nearly a week's work free, so I needed that. I had 3 times as many closed cases as needed because I was automating everything I could, but because of automation and my understanding of computer and network architecture, I spent almost no time on the phone with customers. You'd think that would be great, but we were expecting to spend 6 minutes per call on average with each customer who rang and dividend by number of cases closed. So my problem was even if I was taking inbound calls, I could see the client number ringing, run a diag on their system, quickly let them tell me anything else, and I'd be off the phone in a minute tops to investigate, or I'd set up a script to fix the issue, and I could ring them back in 10 minutes to confirm, using that 10 minutes to take or make another call or do some admin. It wasn't an issue with my line manager because she signed off my bonus every month. A year later, 2 things happened. For health reasons, my great manager transferred to days and one of the clients requested a special payment. The project involved remotely editing the config on 8,000 Wi-Fi hotspots, and why pay someone in your company to do it when you can pay a fourth of the price for a help desk to ring the store, check they weren't using the hotspot, update the config, ring them back, and advise it was usable again. Naturally, I'm assigned this task and told to get started. I do some investigation into how the client is managing their hotspots, the security they are running, and build a script to telnet into a hotspot. Check for specific connections. If none were found, run the config change, then move on to the next in the list. If it found those specific connections, it would append the hotspot ID to the end of the list and try again later. I set this off and left it going and started taking on other work. The new line manager noticed this, questioned me in a one-to-one that night. I explained, walked him through the flow, showed him the output, and that at 3 a.m. no one was using the hotspots in 98% of the sites because, well, it's 3 a.m. He furrowed his brow because he didn't understand what I was talking about and changed the subject to talk time stat. I explained why I wasn't hitting and would never hit it because of special projects like this, and it wasn't fair to track me on it. I told him what my old line manager did, and he again furrowed his brow and told me he wouldn't do that. I needed the talk time. Some discussion/argument happened, and he tells me I need to spend 6 minutes on the phone with each case. Now, remember those 8,000 upgrades? That was around 1,000 cases I needed to log and make a 6-minute call. I needed to spend 6,000 minutes on the phone, 100 hours, 12.5 days. I tried to explain this to him. He cuts me off and tells me to get started. I'm ticked, and this is where it comes in. I did just that. Instead of a 2-day project, it turned into a 1.5-month project where I stopped taking calls and worked the log calls list. I got my bonus. He, however, didn't get his because he was tied, amongst other things, to calls waiting and backlog linked at the end of his shift. TLDR, manager makes me spend 6,000 minutes on the phone and takes project from being 2 days of work to 1.5 months because he didn't listen. In that 1.5 months, I get my bonus, and he doesn't because 43 days extra are spent not doing day job. I would have thought that the new manager would have quickly learned what was going on and maybe change their mind on all of this, but apparently not. I'm good on OP for staying tough for 43 days. Insane father versus maliciously compliant son. Backstory. All throughout my life, my dad has been the biggest source of stress for me. I've been the source of everything that goes wrong in his life since the day I was born, despite hardly ever being the one around when it happens. I'm the type of person who will tell you when I broke something, which I actually did when his dryer broke, and I was standing there when it happened. The wheel that turns the drum snapped due to age while I was drying my clothes. I did the responsible thing and offered to go in half on their washer and dryer since they had the same one since 2004. They got a brand new Whirlpool set for around $1,200 US, so I Venmo'd them $600 for it. Fast forward about a year after me being moved out of their house and on my own. 2 kids rocking the single dad scene, apartment of my own, when into the garden a snake did appear. My washer and dryer broke within a week of each other. My dad takes every opportunity to hold the slightest amount of control over me and starts making demands that I only come between these certain specific hours and that I have to bring my own laundry soap, and once I'm done, the clothes have to immediately be loaded into my car for transport, and that I have to buy them pizza when I come over as I'm taking over their kitchen for about 4 hours. Keep in mind that he decided that I could only come during this time. So I've been going over every Saturday for about 3 weeks to my parents' house to wash about 3 loads of clothes. The problem this time is that it's been about 1 month since I've washed either mine or my kids' bedding. I figure it wouldn't be a big deal to go ahead and bring those along, but that's what you get for thinking, my dad says when I come with 3 extra loads of laundry. He yells as my mom is trying to tell him that it's okay and that it's not going to cause any problems and tells me to go ahead and start my laundry. She takes my dad somewhere to distract him while I do laundry because since seeing how my friends' dads treat them, I've seen his behavior for what it is, and I don't take lightly to him treating me like the red-headed stepchild. We don't particularly like each other anymore. I do mine and my daughter's clothes before they get back. I start to load my son's clothes, which was 6 shirts, 6 pants, 6 pairs of socks, 6 underwear, and 2 towels. He wears a 4T in clothes, in an 8 cubic feet, for those who use the metric system, that's the medium-sized washer at a laundromat, washer. Then my dad comes home and goes immediately into the washroom, stops the load, opens the top, and yells, "Good job, idiot! You did exactly what I told you not to do!" I felt something inside of me break. Instead of getting shouty and loud like I normally do, I went maliciously compliant. Malicious compliance. I devised the idea after ignoring my father's repeated attempts to bait me into a shouting match so he can forcefully remove me from his property, his favorite way of doing it, to only put 1 article in a load at a time. I went from putting a comforter, a sheet, and a pillowcase into a load at a time to 1 of those. My first load was my sheet, then my blanket, then my pillowcase, with each load being properly put on the bulky/sheet cycle took 1 hour and 15 minutes as to not damage his precious washer and dryer. A trip that usually takes me around 4 hours took me 12. I left my house at 9 a.m. and just got back about half an hour ago. All my clothes got washed, my dad's in the doghouse for trying to kick me out of their house again, and I have a massive sense of relief that I was able to turn my father's massive need for control back on him. Well, if there's anything we learned from this story is how to not act as a father. Please people, learn from this, be a good parent. So, it's not the craziest story, but I remember working at Krispy Kreme and we offered these frappe type mixed coffee drinks with whipped cream on top. Well, one day a lady comes through the drive-thru and wanted a large one of those bad boys. So, my boy Ryan gets on making this drink. At the drive-thru window, after she gets her drink, she says there isn't enough whipped cream on her drink. I hand the drink back to Ryan and repeat what the lady said. Confused and kind of irritated because it was the end of his shift, he slides the current whipped cream off into the sink and puts a fresh coat on top of that bad boy. I hand it to the lady and she's like, "Nah, boy, not enough." I pass it back to Ryan and he's like, "Aight, bet. Extra whipped cream it is," and proceeds to empty the entire can of whipped cream into the lid of her drink, with whipped cream exploding out the top, making a huge pile of whip on the counter. After the can was empty, he personally handed her the drink, and that was that. There was really no need to use the whole freaking can, and that's what made this moment so beautiful. Still brings a tear of joy to my eye when I think back on it though. The simplicity, the purity, joy in Ryan's eyes as he followed his dreams. The whole time all I could think of was whip, cool whip, cool whip. Yeah. Put the king-size mattress into a box to return. You got it. I saw in ULPT about trying mattresses from online retailers and then returning them. The ULPT said they would just have you donate it. So I went online and ordered a few king-size mattresses to try out while they were on sale for Black Friday. They were the bed-in-a-box things that come super compressed and you open them and they fully extend. The first one was okay, but after a few weeks we could already feel the springs, so I started to return it. UPS comes to pick it up and says they can't take it because it isn't in a box. Anyone who's ordered a mattress online knows there is no way to get one of these beds back into its box. So, I decided to make my own. I saved up my boxes for a few weeks, and this weekend, I opened them all up and started duct taping them together. Then I laid my king-size mattress on top and pieced together boxes across the top, and wrapped them around the edges. I now have a 6-foot by 7-foot box waiting for UPS. Update! They took the box without issue. I helped him load it on the truck. He was super nice. Pictures of the box in the comments. Sorry listeners, if you want to see them, go check out the comments. Yep, I just looked at the picture guys, and it's what you would expect. A lot of boxes put together with a lot of duct tape. Still worth a look. So currently I am a manager at a fast food joint. One of my coworkers always attracts the rudest customers for some reason or another. This is just one of her many encounters. We get many customers and get flooded with orders daily. In the drive-thru, we tend to pull up cars and have them wait for their orders, either because the order is too big or the people behind them have something they can come out quicker. Most people are fine with it, but we do tend to have Karens every now and then. On this particular day, we got busy as usual, and my staff and coworkers were all hands on deck. The next order was for a young woman, couldn't have been older than 30, but her order was huge. The order behind her was simple and short, so they pull her up. Apparently the food she was waiting for could not come out faster, but regardless of that, my coworker decided to add a pie in their order, free of charge of course. As soon as she went outside and delivered her order, the lady didn't look in the bag for more than 2 seconds before deciding to yell, "This isn't my order!" My coworker, with a smile on her face, replied with, "This is your order, Before she could finish her sentence, the lady cuts her off and puts the bag to her face while saying, "It is not my order, go get my order now!" My coworker decides to comply and takes the bag, removes the pie, and hands her the bag while also saying, "Here's your order, ma'am. Have a nice day." Walks back inside and continues her duties. The customer did not come back after that. Yep, that lady saw that pie and was like, "Oh, it's not mine." Well, now you just missed out on your free pie for being a jerk and not actually checking. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, that's all the stories we have for today. If you liked what you heard, make sure to subscribe for more content like this daily. Until next time, I hope you have the most amazing day.